My name's Loren. I'm speaking to you from the beautiful Banana Republic known as Florida. First subject is globalization. This blog here, this video blog, is really dedicated to providing you with the nuts and bolts information that you need to prosper in a world that has changed drastically here, a country in particular that has changed drastically and chaotically thanks to current changes in government. So, in order to prosper, I think you need to understand the environment you're living in. The best analogy I can think of is that you're a seal feeding on delicious fish, and you're going to the feeding grounds where the fish can be found. At the same time, you have to know where the sharks are, because the sharks are looking to feed on you. So you need to know the lay of the land, so to speak. And so in order to prosper in this economy, you need to know where we came from, how we came to where we are today. Now, besides, I'm sure a lot of you say, well, with change with COVID and the lockdowns, the breakdown in the supply chains, but no, not really. Those would not have affected us. We would not be suffering from the supply chain breakdowns if not for what we call globalization. Globalization was sold to us as integrating the United States economy into the world's economies so that we can produce more wealth and prosperity. And we sure did, but the wealth and prosperity went to the ruling class and to the ruling class that was created around high-tech barons and hedge fund racketeers and multinational banks that have no loyalty to the United States, and a group of people that are not only money mad but power mad. They're real tyrants, as we all know. I mean, case in point, the raid on Mar-a-Lago. All right, that's the type of people that are ruling our country now. One moment here. Yeah, this is like my 100th take here. It's really not easy doing this off the cuff, you know? Oh yeah, sympathy, thank you. Anyway, globalization existed before Bill Clinton took office, but it really took off once he took office. I know he ran as a new kind of Democrat and would be more business friendly, but he criticized the Bush administration, the previous administration, the administration he was running against, George Bush, the better administration. He ran against them, criticizing heavily China, the policy towards China, which was friendly towards China, and the fact that Bush was pushing for these trade agreements that would really certainly hurt American workers. But Bill Clinton said, he ran as being against it. And then he took his office, and with the full cooperation, of course, of the Republicans who wanted it at the time, and a large number of Democrats who turned against their constituents and supported Bill Clinton on the trade agreements such as NAFTA, the so-called free trade agreement between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. You remember Ross Perot? He's the one that gave Bill Clinton his first victory, the one against George Bush the better, because he siphoned off so many votes that would have gone to George Bush. Without Ross Perot, George Bush would have had a second term. So remember Ross Perot, he said, I hear the sucking sound of jobs going down to Mexico. That's right. And he was right. A lot of jobs did go down to Mexico to take advantage of the cheap manufacturing, the cheap wages that they pay the poor peasants that work in the factories that were built there, particularly for the auto industry. Hurt the auto industry the most. And so that followed by trade agreements like GATT. That was more of an international worldwide type of free trade agreement, and the MFN for China, and what was it? Yeah, before that there was the World Trade Organization as well, and then of course came MFN for China, which really opened the floodgates, so to speak, for cheap Chinese goods to come into America and replace American manufactured goods, and it led to the rise of Walmart becoming a megalith, not megalith, but mega power in retail, selling mostly cheap Chinese goods, stuff made by child labor, which is a slave labor in China. Cost a fraction of what it would cost to pay an American worker. So not only did Americans lose jobs, not only did we lose our industrial base, but the mom and pop stores suffered inordinately, immensely. Many of them went out of business. Closest thing to a mom and pop store now is like a 7-Eleven franchise. I mean, that's it. Those are generally run by hard-working people from overseas, by the way, but not to criticize them for coming from overseas. I applaud them for coming to America and making a real life for themselves. Americans can learn from people like that. They can learn from the Vietnamese who came out on these flimsy boats across the Pacific Ocean, to find a better job, a better life for themselves. And they built so many successful businesses in the United States. They become a very affluent part of our society because of their hard work, that work ethic that Americans, the coddled Americans that were born to this country, they could learn from that. But that's getting a little bit off on a tangent here. And so with these trade agreements, we lost our industrial base for the most part, and that is a national security threat, because you look into history. World War II, we won because we were able to turn our factories into weapon manufacturing facilities. Now I don't know if we can ever do that. So we've lost that capacity, and the quality of life for your blue-collar worker, little middle class, even regular middle class guy, the quality of life has gone down. People are working harder, longer hours. The pay is not only stagnated, but with not just today's inflation, but even before that, the value of the dollar kept on diminishing, and so the regular guy's buying power diminished with that. So the quality of life went down, when previously even a janitor could buy a house and his wife could stay home and raise the children, and he had a car, maybe a 2-car garage, and he could send his kids to college. Man, those days are gone. As a matter of fact, you can't even get a janitor's job unless you're one of the millions of illegal aliens who have flooded into this country. I'm getting political now, kind of political. Forgive me, but I can't think of any other way to call it. I don't like undocumented workers. They cross the border illegally. And they they worked their asses off. They're better workers than most Americans. I spoke to a guy who owns a roofing company, and he only uses Mexicans because they work hard. They don't talk back. They don't wander off to take cigarette breaks. They work hard. I mean, they work double hard, much harder than the American-born coddled people do. We really are coddled still, even with the negative changes that have taken place with globalization. So, you gotta understand that. We live in a world where you're competing now. There is no more of the lifetime jobs with a pension that I used to get. Like my uncle was in IBM. He came in basically off the street. Really, he didn't have any computing knowledge, but they took him in. That was back in the days when they used cardboard cards. Fed him into computers. I mean, that's how primitive it was. So he was trained, and he had a relatively long career. IBM, never any threat of being fired or replaced by fired workers. And he got his pension. He got a nice buyout. But with the globalization, not only did blue-collar people lose their jobs, and not only did we lose entire industries, industrial industries, but we also, the quality of life affected even the white-collar workers. Now, take my friend who worked, I was in Seattle at the time when Clinton got elected. And very soon after he got elected and he got these trade agreements passed, my friend went from a very happy and nurturing environment where he could do his work as an engineer and be productive, but at the same time live like a human being, and it became toxic, huge pressure, much he had to do to work with two people, and they were constantly laying people off, and they were threatening him with job replacement as well. And it just, the stress that he went through was just unreal. I mean, I don't know how he's doing now, but I lost track of him. But I was there. I saw how he suffered. And I noticed, too, I worked as a temp worker at the time. And I worked in a variety of corporations doing general office work. And I saw how the environment changed from a relaxed, happy neighbor environment to one that was tense and toxic as hell, because it was all about pleasing the shareholders. The shareholders, the ones. The shareholders got very unhappy if profits went down the slightest, and believe me, you could have been working in the mailroom. You would have heard it. You would have felt their displeasure and their discontent. And so it became a less human place. The corporate America and whatever, even working in a store like the Gap, oops, I shouldn't name them. It rhymes with slap. Anyway, I worked for that company for a number of years. And it used to be a fun place to work. Everybody was happy. And the customers are happy. They would come back over and over again because we had good times together, us and the customers. We were able to talk and talk about family and interests, and it was just wonderful. And then Gap had Slap had record profits, and then you reached a plateau where you can only go down a bit. And when profits were down, then oh gosh, we got to cut hours, and the corporate people would come in and they would glare at us. You're costing us money. You're costing us money. Yeah, that's how the environment changed. So it really has become, and of course it's escalated. It's escalated. You can no longer depend upon a job. You're going to have to make your own job. You're going to have to make your own employment. You're going to have to find a marketplace where you can fulfill its needs. And you're going to have to hustle. Man, we're in the hustle economy, my friends. Hustle. You're going to have to find ways. You're going to have to use your imagination. You're going to have to do your research. You're going to have to find ways to market yourself and to build things like online businesses, and not only that, but services that you could market in your city or neighborhood. That is it. It's the job, the age of the jobs, the age of the corporate cradle to grave welfare is gone. It's gone, man. You're gonna have to be tougher. You're gonna have to work harder. Right now, I don't think people are prepared for what's to come, because we're still a coddled people. People get things like employment and EBT cards and this and that, and there's still enough jobs to go around to keep half the population employed. I mean, right now, I think less than half the population, working population, is employed now. They really ate up those checks that the government was giving out during COVID, huh? Yeah. Now they're slowly getting back to work. That's why employment is going up. That's why more jobs are showing up. Yeah, people need to work again. But I believe that we're going to reach a real reset here, where very few, if any, jobs are available, and the cost of living will go up even higher. Man, you have to work hard. You have to be rich. You have to get yourself wealthy. Get rich or die trying, like 50 Cent said. Matter of fact, I believe I'm going to go through a synopsis, go over 50 Cent's book, and talk about how this man came from the worst living circumstances as a child to build an empire for himself. Now, not everybody, most people can't do that, but you can build a life for yourself, and that's what it is. You know, you have to. How do you deal with the changing economy, the changing social and political environment? You mind your own business. You concentrate on yourself, and you comply with the goddamn rules, no matter how ridiculous or unfair or confiscatory they might be. You comply. All right. Otherwise, they'll crush you. They'll crush you. Now they hired 87,000 IRS agents and who knows what else. They're going to ram through, because I guarantee you they're not going to allow the Republicans to take back Congress or the Senate. I promise you they're not going to. It's not going to happen. They're like a wise man once told me, socialists never give up power. Trump surprised them, and now you see what they've done to him and his family and his friends and his business associates. All right, I need not say more. If you don't understand that, you're not paying attention. Sorry. So that's okay. It's all about making life better for you. I promise you. One more video on politics and economics, and politics and social environment, and political and social environment. Then I'm going to concentrate strictly on information that will make your life better, both not just economically, but from a spiritual and mental level as well. So you could be more of who you're meant to be. After all, you were made in God's image, and there is no limit. I really believe there's no limit to what you can do. Most of us won't reach that kind of plateau, but you definitely can do better than you're doing now. I mean, it's not just about money, it's about freedom and security, by being able to provide for yourself and not depend upon a boss or a company or a corporation or a government to take care of you. All right, you're going to have to. Okay, that's enough. Cheerio, my friends. Hasta vista, baby.